Hello car lovers, I'm up in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and interestingly a dear friend of mine, Hvac, has agreed to give an ownership review of his 2015 Mazda 3 GT with an automatic transmission, no leather, standard package, Bose sound system. He's had this car for about 2-ish years.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Year and a half?
Yep.
Year and a half. So he's gonna tell us, and I kind of like to do these videos because, you know, we test new cars, they're all brand new, and you know, it's always perfect, but like, you know, the problems come out after a while, and by driving it, it's by driving it that you learn what you like and what you really don't like. So V's gonna share his thoughts on that right now. V, what were you shopping before you bought this car?
Yeah, so it was my first car actually. I always had my, you know, had my parents lend me a car or whatever, right? And then I just kind of said, you know, I'm tired of driving a SUV around. So I was looking, you know, this segment, small car, compact size segment. Wanted something that was obviously reliability was a big one. You know, last thing I want to do is have a car and have more time spent in the shop than I'm driving it. Big one there. You know, so that kind of took out some of the American brands and, you know, some of those brands. Japanese, yeah, you could say that. And I mean, I even consider German, but you know, I wasn't very knowledgeable about Volkswagens and whatnot. You know, somewhat price conscious. It had to be in the budget. You know, being a bit of a car buff like you, I do like something that's got a very nice sort of sporty drive to it. You know, nice dynamics when you either straight line speed or put into the curves. You know, you feel that build quality and just the overall driving dynamic. You know, smooth transmission. You know, and of course there's a bit of the sort of the connectivity stuff, right, that, you know, I've been sort of out of the loop of, but, you know, having the GPS and, you know, stereo system, the ease of use of those kind of things. So that's what I was looking for. I had been looking to shop and either a lease. So some of the cars I was looking for at the time, it was about a year and a half ago, was the Mazda 3. The thing that caught my eye on this car right away was just the design. I mean, you see these things go on the street and they drive by you, and I'm just like, whoa. Like, wow, that's an eye catcher, you know. So there's a Mazda 3, there's a Honda Civic, of course, perennial car, right? The Subaru Impreza. Although, you know, it's a good car, but I was, you know, maybe I was probably leaning towards the WRX, but maybe a little bit outside my budget. And you know, I walk to work, so I don't even drive that often, you know, outside of when I'm, you know, outside of regular hours. So that was a big thing, and so I took this car for a drive. It was actually on a lease transfer. Like the dynamic, like the design, like how well it was put together. Wasn't really a big fan of the previous Honda Civic generation and overall that build, and it just kind of felt a little bit cheap inside. You know, wasn't a big fan of the CVT. You know, I like the traditional sort of transmissions, although to be fair, I think CVTs are improving in terms of the quality and reliability over time. So that's what really did it for me, and you know, the budget was in it. I think I'm paying about, on this lease, it was a 3-year lease. I took over after the first year lease from the previous guy, and I did want the GT. I didn't want the 2-liter. These are Japanese built. You know, I can't complain. I think it was a really, really good price for what I got for on top of it. So that clinched it for me. Dad liked it too.
So good deal, good infotainment. You didn't want it to feel like disposable goods.
Yes.
You wanted it to look good.
Oh yeah.
Reliable.
Yes. Reliable is a big one.
Reliable is a big one. All right. So, what have you learned over the last year and a half? Does it live up to expectation?
I'd say for the most part it does. You know, I tend to do a lot of highway driving, Ottawa and Montreal and Toronto. It's good for the city, but I would say where it really shines for me is the highway. When you need to get that extra passing power, you know, to do the slowing down and passing, it's wonderful. I would say the transmission, it's not a dual clutch, but it runs like butter, or almost close to it. You know, I don't have to worry about awkward transmission changes. I can put in the manual transmission plate, the paddle shifters, it runs smoothly, no problem there. You know, the connection system here, I know that you took some of the shots earlier, but I love this sort of MMI Audi-esque knob here. To be frank, I think, you know, the next car I get, if it doesn't have this, it's gonna almost be like I'm going back to rehab. You know, I will not, it's gonna be hard not to get used to that. So I think things like that is great. I've never had to touch the screen, and
it's a touchscreen.
And it's a touchscreen, but I've never had to touch it. There's no reason for me to, which is wonderful. You know, I never have to be like this. I can have this. I've got my line of sight. It's great. You know, a little knob for the volume. It's great, no problems there. The heads-up display, also another thing I really love about it. I know it's a love or hate thing with some people. I think it's amazing. It's got the speed, it keeps in my line of view. I don't have to go down here and see in the clutter here in the gauge cluster what speed I'm at or how much I'm revving. It will also put up the GPS directions if I'm going up there.
That's pretty awesome.
Which is really good because I don't have to be staring at the screen. I can just tell you right there. It tells you where to go. Cruise control, once again, same things get up there. I don't have to be looking in the screen here to see what speed am I got my cruise. It just, everything is up there. So I find it very practical.
Very safe.
I mean,
very safe.
Yes, yeah, it is actually. I'm just looking up. I've never had, yeah, and you see me, we're going through all these, like the scenic drive with a bunch of curves. I've never had to look down once. Other thing, like we're going on this nice little scenic drive in Sir John McDonald Day Parkway. Curvy, you can toss this thing into the curves. It does fine. It's good. The steering is excellent. It is electric. It's not hydraulic like it used to be. But I think for an electric steering, it does the job. It's it's got that nice feel. It's nimble. It's stiff but not too stiff.
A couple of things that stand out to me for this model is how I like the way this car does nothing badly. Everything it does right. The exterior styling is good. I love that independent rear suspension. You feel it. I think especially if you ever get into another car that has a solid rear axle, you're going to feel it right away. Another thing I like about this car is this interior. I really like this interior. The fit and finish is good. I haven't heard any rattles.
I've never had any rattles in this car, ever. So I'm really happy about that. I mean, and it's not the cheapy plastic stuff that you see some place. It's a really nice fit and finish.
Quality material, soft touch. Here, nice use of the chrome here.
Yep.
There's clearly an effort in design in this interior and exterior. Well, Mazda, they make no ugly cars, right? They're always good looking, and it shows.
And I think they'll age well.
Yes, that's a good point. They are aging well, in fact. And the refresh in 2017, I thought was just perfect.
Yep, they just made a few little touches here and there. And I think, maybe the next refresh will probably be more or less along the same lines, with that sort of Kodo solo motion design or whatever they call it.
You like the Bose?
I love the Bose. It'll be hard to part with it one day. But I think it's great. I mean, I play all sorts of music, acoustics, electronic dance music, hip-hop, R&B. I think Bose, for this sound system with the center point and all that, it's a good all-round system.
Another thing I like about Bose is it doesn't just play well loud, it plays well at medium volume.
Yes.
If you want to listen to talk radio, that's fine. You're going to hear nice rich voices. How's the fuel economy?
Fuel economy is good. I would say on the highway I would get mostly about anywhere from 5.5 to 6, 5.5 to 7.
It's pretty good.
On the highway. And then city, you're probably looking at about 7.5 to 8.5.
Wow, in the city, that's incredible.
It's excellent. I'd say on average, depending on the gas prices, anywhere from $35 to $40 for a full tank.
That's pretty good. What hasn't worked for you? Is there anything that's like not working? Is there? Are you buying this car? Are you going to buy this car at the end of your lease? And if not, why?
That's a good question. So I would say that normally, yes. There is a caveat that comes with that, and it's most unfortunate I say this, but I do see, and this has always been Mazda's Achilles heel, there is some rust, shockingly,
yes,
starting to form in this car,
you said that earlier.
and there may be some photo shots that
I'm going to put those in right now.
You'll put it in, where you'll see on the trunk and also on the rear door passenger.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a huge one.
And it's very visible there. I mean, this is under 3-year-old car, and look, I haven't rust proofed it, and I keep it outside in the wintertime. But in my view, it's 2017, or even for cars that are built in 2015. There's no excuse why cars built in this day and age should have rust coming in that early.
We're expecting at least 5 years.
I was expecting at least 5 years.
If you don't treat it,
at the very least,
you're expecting at least 5 years.
Yes. But otherwise, yeah, I would have bought the car. I would have bought it out at the end of the lease in a few months, had it not been for that.
Wow, that's huge.
And it's huge.
That's huge.
It's huge. It's a deal breaker.
Anything else? Any thoughts? Any regrets? Is there a time where you thought, "Gosh, I wish I would have bought X, Y, or
Yep.
are you happy with this?
I'm happy. I would say that, you know, if they can maybe add a couple things, and I think this would maybe take this car to the top, is for the GT trim, put in the blind spot monitor. I know that you can get like the higher package, but I think if you just put it standard in every car, I think it would make this car stand out in the class that it's in. You know, improve the metal sheeting so you don't have to get the rust. What can I say? Little things like, you know, if you look down here where they've got the Hvac system.
Oh yes, you mentioned that.
You know, it is a little bit low, so I do find that sometimes when I'm having to play with that, you know, on the highway, you know, right, like for a couple seconds, I'm already out of my line of sight. So, you know, in terms of the little things like the design, it'd be kind of nice if they brought it up like a few inches, right? Like you see, for example, in Honda, how they have in the touchscreen, bang, you can just play with that, increase the vents, decrease it, and it's in your line of sight. Here, it's a little bit out of it. It's a little bit annoying sometimes. The dead pedal. There's no
yes.
dead pedal in this car.
That's a great point.
I don't know why there isn't. I don't think it costs a lot of money to put a dead pedal in. It wouldn't have killed Mazda, but it's annoying. And also, you know, when you're in a winter climate, it just gets dirty.
It's so dirty, and that's the hardest thing to clean, because it's like it's up in a slope.
Yeah.
So when you're putting water, it comes down.
It comes down. So you don't even get a good clean out of it if you wanted to. This thing here,
Glove box.
the glove box, it's very small. The rear space, you know, obviously for me doesn't affect me so much because most of the time I drive by myself or someone in the passenger seat like yourself. But you know, if you got a young family or whatever, maybe, or you drive your family or friends around in the back seats often, probably not most ideal.
I think you made a great move. That's a smart move. I think, you know, in the compact class, you know, a lot of times, a couple of years ago, when you bought a compact car, it always felt like disposable goods.
Yeah.
And I find the GT, with the way they did this interior, the lack of rattles, the wonderful steering wheel, nice leather, nice heft, comfortable seats. And, you know, just overall homogeneous, good transmission, good engine, good driving feel. It didn't cheap out on the rear suspension. It's a nice independent suspension, and you can tell by driving it, they've been doing that a long time. It feels a little bit higher end than your run-of-the-mill.
It definitely has a bit of a premium feel in terms of design, in terms of the interior. I guess a couple other minor things. Well, this is a big one, I would say. There's no Apple Auto or Android, or Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
You were saying that before, and even the new ones don't have it.
And the new ones do not have it. The 2017s do not have it. I don't know why. It could be
unbelievably, we talked so much during this that we reached the end of the recording capacity of my GoPro, though I didn't realize it and I didn't properly conclude this video. Anyways, there's not much else to add. If you like this video, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. If you've gotten this far, I think you should subscribe. I review cars 3 or 4 times a month, and I post them usually in English and French. So that is it.